Hello everyone and welcome back to Python Lessons on Codecademy. So today we will be still working on classes, but on the more difficult part of classes. Last time we did more of an introduction kind of thing, but I think that now we will be putting them more into use and doing more advanced things. So why not get started? Class basics. So I will just read this because even I don't completely know everything about classes. Classes can be very useful for storing complicated objects with their own methods and variables. Defining a class is much like defining a function, but we use the class keyword instead. We also use the word object in parentheses because we want our classes to inherit the object. The object class, sorry. This means that our class has all the properties of an object, which is the simplest, most basic class. Later, we'll see that classes can inherit other, more complicated classes. An empty class would look like this. So you make class, the name of the class, and then object. We kind of covered this in the last 4 lessons, so if you want to see it in more detail or how it works, then feel free to check those out. So let's see what our instructions are. Define a new class named car. For now, since we have to put something inside the class, use pass keyword. So I'm guessing we need to make it object and then pass. Okay. So let's move on. We can use classes to create new objects, which we say are instances of those classes. Creating a new instance of a class is as easy as saying new object equals class name. Below your class, create a new object named myCar that is an instance of car. So we need to name it myCar, and if we want to make it an instance of car, then we just write car in parentheses. So the name of your class with parentheses. If our class needed some parameters, then you would put parameters there. So if we had an initialize, i.e. init function inside, we would, and it required something other than just self, we would need to put something in here. But for now, we don't have anything that's like that, so we can just simply go with this. So let's move on. Classes can have member variables that store information about each class object, such as an integer can have a value of 8, for example, or 1564, I don't even know. We can call them member variables since they are information that belongs to the class object. So 1564 is information that belongs to a certain integer. We can do the same with classes, so we can give it information that belongs to our car, or to our myCar in this example. Creating member variables and assigning their initial values is as easy as creating any other variable. So we just make member variable equals initial value inside our object. So let's try that out, is what I'm guessing we need to do. Inside your car class, replace the pass statement with a new member variable named condition and give it an initial value of the string new. So we should call it condition and new. So I'm guessing our car is going to be in new condition. So let's move on. It's not second-hand. Woo! We got a new car. Calling class member variables. Each class object we create has its own set of member variables. Since we've created an object myCar that is an instance of the car class, myCar should already have a member variable named condition. Because, for example, an integer is always going to have a value of a number. It can be any number. It can even be 0. Well, 0 is a number, but yeah. And it's always going to have a number. In this case, this is always going to have the value of new, or at least if we don't change it. So this attribute gets assigned a value as soon as myCar is created. So when we created this, we already have this value inside our new instance of the new variable that we've created. So if we call myCar.condition, I think it is, we should get new. But let's see how we can do that. At the end of your code, print a statement to display the condition of my car. So I am pretty sure that it's just mycar.condition. I'm not 100% sure, but yes, it is. So if you want to call a variable from a class, you just do the name of your variable, or the name of the instance of that variable, dot, and then the name of the variable itself inside the class. You don't put parentheses there, because if you put parentheses there, that would be referring to a function inside the class, to something like this condition, and you can make it print a new, but we're not doing that right now, so yeah, let's move on. Initializing a class. So there is a special function named initialize. I call it initialize because calling it init just annoys me, by the way. That gets called whenever we create a new instance of a class. It exists by default, even though we don't see it. However, we can define our own initialize function inside the class, overwriting the default version. We might want to do this in order to provide more input variables, just like we would with any other function. So the first argument passed to initialize must always be the keyword self. This is how the object keeps track of itself internally, but we can pass additional variables after that. In order to assign a variable to the class, creating a member variable, we use dot notation, so like we did here. For instance, if we pass new variable into our class, inside the initialize function we would say self.newVariable equals new variable. I don't understand why it has to be like that, but apparently it does. So I just go with it. What else I wanted to say? If you have, so if we create, oops, not there. It needs to be after our variable. So if we create our initialize function here, actually we need to do define initialize. We have to put self here, and then now if you create this function, you still don't have to fill these parentheses in, because self with self it already knows what you're referring to. You're referring to the class. But then if you put a comma here and you say, I don't know, the condition, oops, if I can spell, there we go. Now you would have to put something here like, I don't know, old. But you're not defining what self is, you're just defining what the condition is. So let's actually see what our task is. Define the initialize function of the car, which we've done, kind of. Class to take for input self, model, color, and MPG. I don't know much about cars, so I actually don't know what MPG is. So please don't judge me if I get something wrong. And MPG, okay. Assign the last three inputs to member variables of the same name by using the self keyword, okay. So how we can do that is self dot each of those except self, because it already knows what self is. We just do that. So self dot model equals model. Same for everything else. So self dot color, I wouldn't spell color like that normally, but yeah, self.color equals color, and self.mpg equals mpg. Then modify the object myCar to provide the following inputs as at initialization. So as I said before, you don't provide for anything for self, so we need to provide the model, we need to provide the color, and we need to provide the mpg. So for our model we need to provide DeLorean. Okay, I'll just copy and paste that so that I don't misspell it or anything. Then our color is going to be silver, and our MPG is going to be 88. You don't need to include the self keyword when you create an instance of a class, because self gets added to the beginning of your list of inputs automatically by the class definition. Okay, so that's good to know. So let's save and submit, and as we can see, that's correct. So let's move on. Referring to member variables. Calling class member variables works the same whether those values are created within the class, like our car's condition, or values are passed into the new object at initialization. We use dot notation to access the member variables of classes since those variables belong to the object. For instance, if we had created a member variable named newVariable, a new instance of the class named newObject could access this variable by saying newObject.newVariable, as we've similarly done here in a way. Now that you've created my car, print its member variables. Okay, so let's get ready to print. First, print the model of my car. So if we're stuck, we can click on hint, but we already know how to do that. We just do mycar.model and we get what the model is. Then we do the same thing with color. Oops, you don't leave a space there. The same thing with MPG. And there we go. So let's see if that works. Yes, it does. So thanks. If you enjoyed this video, please like the video. If you would like to ask any questions, then please ask in the comments down below. I will be answering them as soon as I can. If you didn't like the video, then do press the dislike button and please tell me why you didn't like the video so that I can improve for next time. So until that next time, thanks for watching and goodbye.